Wisdom. It's an incredibly valuable asset. Some would say more precious than gold. It's attractive, appealing, admirable. Conversely, a lack of wisdom is the basis of immaturity, blind spots, and bad decisions. Wisdom. It can be gained over time, but it can't be rushed. But wisdom can be shared. That's precisely what we are here to do right now. Today, we are here to hack wisdom, to distill it, to understand it, and to process it. Why? To get better at life. Welcome to the main thing. This is your new Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, and I've set out to interview the wisest people I know. We'll see what we can learn from each one when they're faced with an incredibly difficult, soul-piercing question. The weekly account sync meeting at Maple Creative had just wrapped up. It was our usual agenda, with John and his son, his business partner Johnny, going over upcoming offers, the week's advertisements for the furniture store, and any new graphic design or research projects that needed attention. As we closed our notebooks and gathered our papers, John leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful look settling over his face. "Skip," he said in his steady, familiar tone, "if you can give me a ride back to the furniture store, I'd like to visit with you for about another 30 minutes or so." Then he turned to his son. "Johnny, you can head on back to the shop. I'll get a ride back from Skip." That's how it often was with John. Wisdom had a way of showing up in the middle of ordinary moments. But on this day, we didn't even make it to the car. John and I lingered right there in the fishbowl conference room at Maple Creative. The big Maple conference table still scattered with notes and job jackets, mock-ups and half-empty coffee cups. In those quiet few minutes, John shared one of the most practical leadership lessons I've ever heard. He called it a simple phrase that every leader should keep at the ready. You see, to John, leadership wasn't about seizing the first good idea and running with it. It was about slowing down, asking thoughtful questions, and drawing out the kind of deeper thinking that leads to wiser decisions. That afternoon, in those same chairs where we just discussed business, ad layouts, research briefs for Wells Home Furnishings, John taught me how a 6-word phrase can help leaders boost a promising idea or gently test its limits and its downsides without discouraging or disparaging the person who proposed it. In this episode, part 3 of our 4-part mini-series, Conversations with My Mentor John, you'll hear why John believed that true leadership begins with patience, the willingness to think things through, and to encourage others to do the same. Now, here's John Wells with part 3 of our Wisdom Conversations.
Let's just say you're chairing a meeting and you are the designated leader, or even if you're not. When a suggestion comes up about something, before something is grasped and gone with this, let's do this or that. As a leader, the thing I have learned is to simply do this one thing to make me a stronger leader, and that is, let's take that one more step. That's a good idea. Let's take it one more step. What would we gain by doing that? Well, we would get this, that, or the other thing. Is there any reason why we shouldn't do it? Well, maybe our advertising budget would go up, or maybe this would happen or that would happen. My point is that a leader should have the patience to take another step and fall back and watch the response of the younger people. The younger people are going to say, "Oh, I have a great idea, let's go out and do this tomorrow." Well, it may be a good idea, but leadership shows up. Like at the YMCA, if somebody comes up with an idea, you can develop your own leadership right in the room by saying, "That's a great idea. Well, how many members would we gain from doing that?" "Well, I don't know. It would be so-and-so and so-and-so." I'd say, "Well, okay, can you think of what our net cost may be per member?" What's happening is, as you're asking these questions, people are thinking, "Gee whiz, those are really great questions. I didn't think of that question myself." You know why they weren't thinking of it? They weren't thinking of anything. They were just thinking of just sitting there listening. But a leader will automatically go into mule gear and think, "Oh, let's go to the next question about this idea." And they'll think it through. And so my advice to younger men and women is, as they go up the ladder in life, whenever they have thoughts or whether somebody suggests something to it, think it through. Think it through past where you are right now, and you will find that there's a different answer to it, and a more complete, wise answer that will get you to where you're going better than it would if you just struck off and said, "Let's try this or that."
Hey, it's Skip again, and I'm back to share a final reflection. I have two brief thoughts for you. First, John was so generous. I was blessed that John, my mentor, took extra time to teach me valuable life lessons and leadership tools. He didn't have to spend that extra half hour with me that day, yet John took the time to invest in me and a handful of other inspiring young leaders in our region. For that investment, his mentoring, I'm forever grateful. The second thought that I want to share with you is just how useful and practical this leadership approach is. I use it, or a version of it, very, very often. Where John might have said, "Let's take that one step further," I will often simply say, "Tell me more about that." Whichever form you use, adapt it and make it your own words. Regardless, it's a great tool to keep on the top tray of your leadership toolbox. What I love about it, and what John showed me, is how it's a respectful approach with full integrity, and it can be used to snuff out a bad idea. You really just let the originator of that dud talk it out until they can see that it's not feasible or logical or not timely. The other edge of that same tool is that it can be used to flesh out and build support, even consensus, for a good, solid idea. Hey, that's all for now. I invite you back next week. Please come back and join us again for part 4, the final chapter of this unique mini-series, Wisdom Conversations with my mentor, John. That goes by incredibly fast, doesn't it? Time flies when you're hacking wisdom. Thank you for listening to this wisdom conversation. If you enjoyed this podcast and found the wisdom lesson valuable, then I encourage you to share it with a loved one or friend. Did you know podcast recommendations from one person to another remain the strongest form of podcast growth worldwide? It's true, and we'd appreciate you helping spread the good word. Let's give a big hearty thank you to the crew of the Main Thing Podcast. These are the folks who truly keep the wisdom pipeline flowing. Audio engineer Bob Hotchkiss, strategy advisor Andy Malinowski, public relations and partnerships guru Rachel Bell, social media and digital marketing expert Chloe Linneberg, graphic designer Emma Malinowski, and of course our patrons, those generous folks who provide monthly funding support to help underwrite our costs of production. I couldn't do it without you, nor would I want to. Your feedback matters a lot. If you have a question, a suggestion, maybe an idea, or even a nomination of a future show guest, I'd love to hear from you. Email me at info@themainthingpodcast.com. Well, that's a wrap for this show. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, signing off for now and inviting you to join us again next time for another special delivery of wisdom.